Greetings everyone. A wise person has a mind like clear water, holding no reflections, burdened by no worries. Ancient wisdom. Have you ever wondered, why do modern people, with more conveniences than ever before, worry more than in ancient times? We worry about everything from meals, work, private relationships, to things that have never even happened. A fleeting word can cause sleepless nights. An unintentional glance can make us ponder endlessly. But the ancients revealed a simple truth long ago: every worry in this world has an antidote. This saying is not meant to lull us into complacency, but to awaken us. Worry resides in how we perceive. Most worries don't stem from external life, but from how we perceive it. Like the thick darkness, just a small lamp can instantly transform the entire space. A wise person, with an open mind, clinging to nothing, leaves no room for worries to dwell. Just like a calm lake, clouds and sky may pass over, but it perfectly reflects them. The more we cling, the more waves arise. The more we let go, the clearer the water becomes. Is it possible that we are building our own prisons with our worries? And if so, where is the key to unlock them? I invite you to embark on today's journey. A journey into Eastern wisdom, filled with stories distilled over millennia, to discover the ancient remedies and confirm that every worry truly has an antidote. The traveler's journey. Life is like a long journey. Each of us is a traveler, passing through mountains of time, crossing valleys of memories, and finally returning to our own home, the home called life. Unfortunately, during this journey, many have burdened themselves with unnecessary weights, leading to heavy steps and blurred vision. There's an old story recorded in the Lazy, the Yellow Emperor. A man wanted to borrow an axe from his neighbor. On his way, he began to worry. What if he doesn't lend it? What if he says he's using it? What if he refuses? The more he thought, the more irritated he became, convinced his neighbor was selfish. When he knocked on the door, before he could even ask, he angrily declared, "Keep your broken axe. I don't need it anymore." This seemingly comical story clearly reflects our psychology. Most worries don't come from reality, but are self-created by our own minds. Antidote number 1, simplicity. The ancients taught, "Try tak jia to and lack." He who knows contentment is always happy. In reality, most of what makes us uneasy is not due to external circumstances, but from dissatisfaction within our hearts. We want more, keep more, expect more. So when things don't go as planned, our minds become troubled. If we try to pause, sit in silence, we will see that the sky is still blue, birds are still flying, rivers are still flowing, and there's nothing so critical that we must bind our lives to the rope of worry. A Western philosopher once said, "Man suffers most from things that have never happened." This aligns with the Eastern perspective. Most worries are baseless. We conjure up terrible scenarios in our heads, shackle ourselves with dark prospects, and forget that reality is often much more peaceful. Look at the moon in the sky. Sometimes it's full, sometimes it's crescent, but its light has never disappeared. Flowers bloom and then wither, but they bloom again next season. Time is like a gentle yet skillful artist, always knowing how to dry tears and adorn life with new smiles. So why do we worry? In the Analects, Confucius offered simple advice: Bat on tien, bat un yan, do not resent heaven, do not blame others. A tranquil person is one who views all changes with an open mind. When one understands that everything is just a flow, then today's rain and wind are merely a note in the endless symphony of life. Therefore, instead of deepening sorrow, instead of holding on to past events, let us learn to see simply. When the mind is simple, life becomes clearer. When we cherish the present, every moment becomes a precious piece of the human journey. Have you noticed? When we were children, joy came from a piece of candy, a game, a sudden rain shower. But as we grow up, we forget these small things and instead store worries, expectations, and disappointments. We turn our souls into a narrow room and lock ourselves inside. While life is inherently vast and free, perhaps the first antidote to all worries is simplicity. When we can smile at trivial things, when we can sigh and let go, when we can look at simplicity instead of chasing complications, then naturally there's nothing left to worry about. As the ancients said, Nyan Shin Nu Mung, Nyat Mung Hon Tran I, human life is like a dream, once the dream fades, all earthly dust vanishes. So why don't we choose a joyful dream? Antidote number 2, openness. Be open about everything. Life is inherently like a mirror. When we smile, the mirror reflects a smile. When we frown, the mirror does not forget to return a frown. In other words, this world is often just a reflection of our minds. If the mind is dark, the sights before us will inevitably be tinged with gloom. If the mind is bright, life's ups and downs will also become lighter. The ancients had a saying, Nyat Neum Buong Vandunam. A small thought in the mind, if let go, is like an open door inviting cool breezes. Conversely, by clinging to a single thought of resentment, we build a wall that imprisons ourselves. Chuangzi once told a story. There was a fisherman who saw his reflection in the water. He thought someone else was trying to steal his fish, and angrily struck at the reflection. But the more he struck, the more the reflection danced, leaving him exhausted and bewildered. Only when he stopped did he realize that his opponent had never existed. The reflection was merely a product of himself. In fact, many of our troubles in life are similar. They don't come from outside, but are largely nurtured by our stubborn attachment within. Try to recall times when you were angry. Angry about an unpleasant word. Angry about an unkind glance. But if we examine these with reason, we'll see that they are not worth trading for a day of peace. When we hold grudges, the first person harmed is not the other party, but ourselves. In the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha clearly stated, Ung vo so ti uni shine ky tom, abide nowhere and thereby bring forth your mind. This means not letting the mind cling to anything, for only then can the mind truly be free. If we don't dwell on the mistakes of others, if we are willing to be open and let things take their natural course, our souls will be much lighter. Happiness, in truth, is simple. It exists in a warm cup of tea in the morning, in a gentle breeze in the evening, in the sincere smile of a loved one. But we inadvertently overlook these small things, chasing after grander things and growing weary because we never feel enough. The ancients often compared themselves to water. Water is humble, gentle, and contends with no one. Yet it nurtures all things. It can flow through tiny cracks in rocks and can merge into the vast ocean. It follows the current without forcing, yet it never stops flowing. By learning from water, we learn to live openly, able to adapt to circumstances while remaining persistent. There's an Eastern proverb that says, troubles each day are numerous, if you don't pick them up, they will disappear. Indeed, daily life always presents countless trivial annoyances. But if we don't bend down to pick them up, they will naturally dissolve in the river of time. If we stubbornly cling to them, it's like adding unnecessary burdens to ourselves. Thus, openness is the second antidote to dissolve worry. Openness to broaden the soul. Openness to forgive the mistakes of others. Openness to free oneself from self-imposed shackles. A sage once said, when you close the door of your heart, you block not only the cold wind but also the sunlight. If you want to embrace happiness, you need to learn to open your heart. For only by opening your heart can you truly live in the warmth of life. Antidote number 3, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Everything will get better. There is a simple truth that we sometimes forget. Fear is the greatest enemy of life. Fear makes hands tremble, steps falter, and hearts contract. It turns manageable challenges into giant walls, and otherwise peaceful days into inner storms. But just as dark clouds cover the sky, with a gentle breeze, light reappears. All fears, if seen for their true nature, can dissipate. Charlie Chaplin once said, "Life is a tragedy when seen in close-up, but a comedy in long shot." This statement contains a profound philosophy. The same event, if we look at it with a narrow perspective, becomes suffering. But if we step back, broaden our view, we will see it as just one piece of the whole picture. Today's tragedy might even be a necessary note to complete the symphony of life. In reality, fear doesn't come from external objects, but from how we interpret them in our minds. A person standing before the ocean might tremble at the large waves, but another rejoices at the opportunity to surf. The ocean doesn't change, only the mind perceiving the ocean differs. Life is the same, suffering or happiness, unease or peace, all depend on the attitude we choose to face them with. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha taught about the Four Noble Truths, fundamental truths. Suffering exists, but the cause of suffering also exists. And more importantly, that cause can be eliminated, leading to the path of peace. Fear is similar. When we clearly identify the root of fear, which is clinging, lack of understanding, and exaggerating things, we have already completed half the journey of escaping it. Imagine you are walking on a dark road and suddenly hear leaves rustling. Instantly, your mind conjures images of a lurking predator, an unimaginable danger. But when a torch illuminates the path, you realize it was just a cat running by. The fear vanishes in an instant, not because the danger was resolved, but because you saw the truth. Broadly speaking, nature is also a living testament. Why do we remain trapped in fear? Because we are too accustomed to looking closely at every small detail, forgetting the overall picture. A failure today is not an end, but merely preparation for a new beginning. A pain today is not eternal, but an opportunity for the heart to become deeper and more compassionate. The stories of many great figures in history are proof. Edison went through more than 1,000 failed experiments before inventing the light bulb. If he had feared failure, the world would not have electric light today. These simple things are a reminder that life goes on, and ultimately, everything will get better. A Zen master once said, "Fear is not a barrier, but merely a thin mist. When you take a step forward, the mist will disappear."